First-time homebuyers think that investment properties is something you buy later in life after you can afford your primary property. That's backwards. For a lot of people, a 2 to 4 unit property, you go ahead and actually live in one of the units is the easiest first property investment that you can actually afford and the cheapest way to start building wealth. My name is Sapan Patel, and I'm a mortgage loan officer licensed in New Jersey and Pennsylvania, and about to open my own mortgage brokerage. 65 to 70% of my clients are investors. I watch people start building their investment portfolios with their very first real estate purchase and not waiting till they get 4 or 5 properties. You don't need to be rich, and you don't need to have landlord experience, and you don't need 25% down. The same first-time home buyer programs that you would use to buy your primary house also works on a duplex, triplex, or a fourplex unit, as long as you live in one of the units. Here's why this matters right now. When the building actually helps you pay your mortgage, you're not fighting today's rates and prices alone. You've got a tenant helping you fight that with you. Here's the plan in this video that we go over. The down payment programs for your primary property, you can also apply to a 2 to 4 unit properties as well. We'll go over how the rent can also count as part of your income, how the one FHA trap that always kills triplex and fourplex deals, the honest risk, and to get yourself into a 2 to 4 unit property and not make any of the mistakes that everybody else makes. Let's start with why your first property is the cheapest multifamily you'll ever be able to buy. The cheapest and the easiest way to buy a 2 to 4 unit is to actually go ahead and live in one of the units. The low down payment you think are only applied to a primary property also actually apply to small multifamily units as well, but only while you occupy one of the units. Lenders price everything by risk. Somebody buying a rental they'll never actually live in is the riskiest borrower for us lenders. So they end up having to pay the most down, and it's usually 20 to 25% down. Somebody buying a house that they are going to live in for a long time, we as lenders look at it as the safest borrower. So they get the best down payment options possible. The trick almost nobody tells first-time buyers, a 2 to 4 unit property that you live in is considered a home. You get the home buyers deal from the lenders on the building that also pays you back as the landlord. 2 real doors here. FHA lets you buy up to a fourplex with only 3.5% down, as long as you plan to actually go ahead and live in one of the units. On a $500,000 duplex, that's around $17,500 down, and not the full $100,000 down that you might be required if you were a full investor. And on the conventional side, you also have options of getting into a 2 to 4 unit property with only 5% down, as long as you live in one of the units. This rule changed at the end of 2023, and a lot of buyers still have no idea that it even exists. Compare that to an investor writing a 6-figure check for the same building that you as a first-time home buyer will qualify for with only 3.5% down. So if you're going to buy anything next year, price the owner occupied 2 to 4 unit property first. This is the one window where you get an investor's asset on a first-time home buyer's terms, but a low down payment means nothing if you can't qualify for the actual loan. And this is where the actual building 2 to 4 unit rentals does something your paycheck alone can't do. It actually helps you qualify. Affordability is redefined. The building helps you actually qualify for the mortgage. A 2 to 4 unit property can actually be easier to qualify for than a single family property at the same price. Let's say it's a 4 unit property. The other 3 units, the rent that's coming in from it, we're able to count as part of your income to help you qualify for the actual mortgage. Here's the idea that changes everything. Affordability isn't what you can pay on your own. It's what the property can pay together. When you buy a single family house, you're the only income on the actual application. When you buy a duplex and live in one side and rent out the other side, the lender looks at the rent coming in from the other unit and adds a big chunk of it into your income, helping you qualify. The standard move is to count around 75% of the market rent and not 100%. They knock off roughly 25% to help you cover the vacancy and repairs that might come up. So the numbers are very conservative on purpose. Say that the other unit rents out for $2,000 a month. We're able to use about $1,500 can count into your income to help you qualify. That can be the difference between being approved or declined. And here's the part that surprises a lot of people. On FHA, a first-time buyer, zero landlord experience, can use the projected rent from the second unit to help them qualify. You just have to live in one of the units to qualify and let the appraiser set the market rent. Before you decide you can't afford to buy, have someone actually sit down with you and run your approval with the rental income that might come in and not just your personal salary. That number you qualify for usually goes up and not down. There's one rule, and most people don't find out until they're already under contract. If you're even thinking about buying, the worst move is guessing whether you're gonna qualify or which actual loan fits your personal goals. Me and my team can help you map everything out in just one phone call. Side-by-side options with rental income built in so that you see your real numbers and your real monthly costs. It's a free strategy call. There's no pitch. The link is going to be in the description. Let's get back into it. Let's talk about the trap. The FHA Self-Sufficiency Trap and how conventional programs dodge it completely. So on a 3 to 4 unit with FHA, there's a hidden test that disqualifies a lot of buyers. On conventional loans, it doesn't apply at all. This test, it's called the self-sufficiency test. For a 3 to 4 unit on an FHA program is brutal, especially in expensive markets. The 75% of the total market rent from the building has to actually cover the entire mortgage payment itself. Principal, interest, taxes, and insurance has to be fully covered by that 75% that we were talking about we're able to use. If the building can't fully pay for itself on paper, FHA won't approve the loan, no matter how strong your income is. This is exactly where high-priced areas like New Jersey get people. So a triplex you'd happily afford with your salary alone still fails the FHA math. Here's the escape most buyers never hear. There's actually an option. A conventional 5% down on a 2 to 4 unit investment property does not have self-sufficiency tests. So a fourplex that FHA would just reject can still close with a 5% down on the conventional side. If you want a triplex or a fourplex, run the self-sufficiency test before you fall in love with the property, or look hard at the conventional options. 2-unit property, you get to skip that test entirely, even on a FHA option. The point is simple. The property and the loan program have to match up together. That's a 5-minute conversation before you make an offer, not a surprise that you go through after. Let me show you the part all the hype videos love to skip. Everybody loves the tenants pay your mortgage line. Let's kind of talk about risks of the whole house hacking. It's not a free lunch. People who get burned are the ones who skipped unglamorous parts. When you live next to your neighbor, plus they're also your tenants, you're the landlord and the neighbor at the same time. That's real work, especially the first year. The rent offset, it's real and it's beneficial, and so are the responsibilities that come with it. There was a story that went around about a guy who was a first-time investor who bought a $700,000 property. It was a duplex. He got hit after closing with a $30,000 plumbing issue. And that repair, they found out earlier, the work that was done, it wasn't done with any permits. And he ended up having to pay thousands and thousands in fines, plus the $30,000 to fix the actual issues. Now, That's the downside. Nobody screenshots surprise repairs, a bad tenant, or a vacant month, or you hear somebody through the wall all day. None of that means don't do it. It just means go in with your eyes open so you protect yourself. Always keep cash reserves. On a lot of the conventional 2 to 4 unit mortgages, the lender will require around 6 months of payments in your bank account. That's a feature. It's not a punishment. You want to make sure when you go ahead and rent your property out, you screen your tenants. You need to review them as your renter and you make sure that they're going to actually qualify. You need to get a real inspection done and not a quick walkthrough with your realtor, and learn the landlord-tenant rules in your state before you go ahead and even close. Because in New Jersey and Pennsylvania, they do not treat landlords the same. So here's how to set yourself up to be the person who wins with this program. Number 1, get pre-approved both ways. Have a mortgage broker run the FHA options on the 2 to 4 unit property and the conventional mortgage programs side by side. So that way you understand what the risks are and what the benefits are, and make sure that they're using the rental income that might be coming in as part of the income as well. The right program and the right lane to choose always depends on the property and your personal numbers. So you want both of them on the table at the same time before you go ahead and start looking at properties because you saw it on Zillow. Number 2, know your real number. Go over your down payment plus your closing costs plus your reserves that might be required. Then you subtract the rent offset of 25% of the potential rent that might be coming in. And that way you're actually looking at the true monthly costs and not the scary sticker payments that you'll see on your CD. Number 3 is to pressure test the property. What does that mean? You need to run something called the self-sufficiency test if you're going to use the FHA program, or the rent versus payment math on a conventional program that you might decide before you go ahead and even talk to a real estate agent. Pull the market rents so that you know what the real numbers are and not just hoping that's the rent you might be getting. Number 4, plan the exit before you even make the entrance. So usually in a FHA 3.5% down 2 to 4 unit property, it requires you to actually have to live in one unit at least the minimum amount of 12 months before you're able to even move out and able to rent that property out. After the full 12 months that you've been living in one of the units, you're actually able to rent that one out, and now you're able to use the whole FHA 3.5% down program all over again on your next unit. That's how one first home turns into an investment portfolio. Do these 4 things that we just went over. Please run these numbers. Just sit down, run all these kind of numbers before you start looking at properties with a real estate agent, because you need to be educated before you go ahead and start spending the money. The buyers who get hurt are always the ones who showed up to a great deal. They have no actual plan, no pre-approval, and watch someone else step in and take that property just because they didn't sit down before everything and ran the numbers. What we just went over, that's the owner-occupied edge. The lowest down payment, the building's rent counted as part of your income, residence terms of having to live at that property for at least 12 months are all stacked on one property. Only while you live in it. After that first 12 months, that becomes your investment property and you move into your next primary property. Now, I'm going to be very honest. This kind of program or this idea is not for everyone. If you want a passive lottery ticket and you're not willing to actually put the work into it and be an hands-on owner for that first year, this isn't for you. But if you're in New Jersey or Pennsylvania and you want your real numbers mapped out for you, the rent included, before you do anything, book a free call with my team. That link will be in the description and we'll go over all the options, all the different lanes in about 20 minutes.